For as long as I can remember, I've always been fascinated with the sky. Sunsets, stars, and especially the moon have captivated me like nothing else. So when I heard I would be able to see a partial eclipse over my hometown in 2017, needless to say, I was excited. My 14-year-old self sat outside and watched the moon cover the sun by about 70%. And from that point on, I became obsessed with seeing a total one. On that day, I learned I would get my chance 7 years later when the path of totality crossed over my home state of New York. It always seems so far, a pipe dream, something so far in the future that it might as well not be real, and yet, April 8th, 2024 came, and I woke up to every eclipse chaser's worst nightmare: clouds. But even with those clouds, what we witnessed was nothing short of incredible. And I want to be able to show you how even clouds can't ruin something as incredible as totality. The time was 3:18, and the ambient light began to fade in distinct steps, almost as if someone was flipping switch after switch to turn the lights off. I want you to focus on the horizon and notice what looks like dark clouds forming. A thunderstorm, perhaps. But watch how quickly it overtakes us. This is not a time lapse, this is a normal speed video. Watch how quickly this unassuming overcast afternoon becomes what seems to be the dead of night. The distinct difference between 99% coverage and totality, and the reason that people say that 99% is not enough. As the moon's shadow overtook us, I had to stop recording to make a few changes to my camera, but in that short few second break, the landscape now looks like this: pure night. The whole sky, illuminated on just the horizons like a 360-degree sunset, was deep blue with hints of pink. Despite how incredible it was to see the sky get so dark so fast and witness this afternoon midnight, I will admit it was difficult to keep my mind off what lay just beyond the clouds and just out of reach of our eyes. The sun's corona, no longer hidden by the intense brightness of our sun, is illuminated and can be seen in its full glory, with people who see it saying that even pictures don't come close to doing it justice. Considering how excited I was to finally see it for myself, it was disappointing that the clouds didn't break enough for us to even catch a glimpse. But it did give us a rare and underrated insight during an eclipse, a chance to take our eyes off the sky and take in what was happening on the ground. Around us, nighttime lights came on, their sensors tricked by this afternoon nighttime, and everything was eerily still. Not even the crackles of our fire or the far-off sound of launching fireworks could distract you from the eerie calmness under the moon's shadow. Nighttime frogs were now chirping, and bats were flying overhead as the birds retreated to their nests. If you listen, you can hear them. While that coveted break in the clouds didn't happen, it was clear that the 3 minutes and 36 seconds of totality was nearing its end. If we skip forward just a minute here, I want you to again focus on the lower horizon and notice how bright it is. Watch as the light continues to creep in like a normal sunrise on any given day, but also notice how quickly it happens. A process that normally happens gradually over the course of hours is about to unfold in just a handful of seconds. The clouds give us a unique view of the moon's shadow retreating, and you can almost tell exactly where it is. As the golden light continued to sweep in from the south, and the moon's shadow continued on to the north, it was overwhelming how quickly the light dimmed and then returned, and before we knew it, it was just a normal afternoon again. In 3 minutes, we had witnessed what can only be described as an entire day cycle: sunset, night, and then sunrise again. The nighttime animal calls began to fade, and if we fast forward just 2 minutes, you can hear that they're no longer present. And the sky has returned to an unassuming, overcast afternoon. It was easy to be disappointed that I missed the thing I had waited so long for, especially since the sun hadn't shown its face the entire day. But just as I was about to give up hope, I managed to capture this one tiny break in the clouds. The sun reminding us that yes, it was still there, and I was able to capture a crescent sun, just barely covered by the moon and just barely peeking through the clouds. It's weird to say, but this one moment saved the day for me. While I would grow to appreciate our view of totality more over the course of the rest of the day, the crescent sun I captured eased the sting of missing what was sitting in the sky just 40 minutes before, and would be the only time that we saw the sun covered by the moon at all. Even with that, I'm thankful to have experienced totality at least once, and I'm driven to see it with my own eyes one day, more than ever. The clouds gave us a truly special perspective of totality, and one that people probably overlook because they rightfully want to see what lies beyond the clouds. And I guess that's another thing that's special in its own weird way. How a rock in space, for just a few brief moments, took my mind off the world that we live in, when my biggest problem became a bunch of clouds floating lazily in the wind. So insignificant that they wouldn't exist just an hour from that time. I'm still mad about this. Thank you for letting me share the beauty of an eclipse, even under those insignificant clouds. And I hope you have a good day.